Thank you, Umbral, for the tag. Says, Hero, hey, this is pretty crazy. Penny for your thoughts. Well, you can keep the penny, but I'll take a like. Anyways, let's check this out. Thank you again for the tag. So we've got this tweet with over 34,000 likes. Lots of people talking about this tweet, and the DMs which are showcased, which we're about to go over. The tweet saying, mind you, she's talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu frickin' Kaisen. The DMs read, just give me a sec, please. Okay, I completely understand, and I'm genuinely sorry if any of the posts I've made regarding anime/manga made you upset or uncomfortable. I really mean it. But you could also have mentioned this to me sooner, or SBD'd or even straight up blocked me if you didn't feel comfortable with any of my posts. SBD probably meaning soft block. Then we can see a response from the other person saying, thank you for the apology, Priscilla, but the damage has already been done. I just feel so hurt that you could sit there and enjoy that stuff. You're also old enough to realize people shouldn't be reading stuff where the main characters are literal minors like a sick PDF file. Whoa, that is a hot take. I don't even want to know what type of skeletons they probably got in their closet saying stuff like that. That odd person continues saying, this whole situation has really opened my eyes. It's just the community itself is infested with those types, and seeing you take part in the community and reading that stuff is just honestly so disgusting to me. I don't know how you could still be reading anything from Japan at this point, Priscilla. What? I'm not saying I'm disappointed in you, but I expected better from you given your age. Look at Taeyong. He's also a frickin' PDF file who likes little children. You support his frickin' group. You are just as bad as him. Honestly, this has become too much for me. I really enjoyed talking to you at some point, but I can't keep pretending to like you anymore. I'm sorry. You're giving me the biggest ick. Oh my gosh. You've got to be kidding me. That sounds like such a loser thing to say in this context. Like, oh, the biggest ick. You're reading Jujutsu Kaisen. Ugh. Freaking weird as heck. And you're not seeing the issue at hand. Stop freaking with manga and anime and get help. It's as simple as that. Yeah, we know who needs help here. It's not the person on the receiving end of these DMs. The OP then added this, saying, Oomph, who has now blocked me, had sent me a lengthy DM about how they felt uncomfortable whenever I talked about Jujutsu Kaisen, Hunter x Hunter, and other anime mangas, which I can understand because not everyone wants to see this stuff. That doesn't interest them. But to say all this? Also keep in mind, I made this account in 2020 to talk about my interests, which was anime and manga at the time. I was super active on AniTwit when she followed, so she's had about 3 years to mention any of this to me, but now all of a sudden I'm being called a PDF file? Also, the tie-in comment was unnecessary to be brought up in the discussion, and it ticked me off even more because what the actual heck? And then adding, this was the retweet that was the last straw, by the way. It's just like a Gojo meme. What the heck? Why are they so mad? It's just okay. Me every time I remember my old crush as a cult leader. It's just like Gojo with a speech bubble. Oh my gosh, that enraged that person real bad. I guess that's crazy. A top response saying, and quoting the DM, anything from Japan, adding, seems yeah, okay, that's not low-key racist at all. The OP saying, my exact thoughts. I didn't get to call her out on that part because she was quick to block. Oh, but you know she's probably lurking this thread. She's probably seething lurking all this. People shouldn't be reading stuff where the main characters are literal minors. I'm sorry, what? Some of the most loved characters are adults too. Gojo 28, Nanami 27, Geto 27, Todo 18, Sukuna 1000 plus, Toji 40 plus, Hikari 18, Shoko 29. I feel like this is max racism because I just know they don't have this energy for any of the American cartoons. Bro, what is this? All I did was talk about JJK. You're giving me the biggest ick. Had me in literal tears. Anything from Japan. Boy, do I hope they don't own any Sanrio merch, Pokemon items, Nintendo games, watched Studio Ghibli movies, Sony headphones, or anything else. Like, how are you boycotting anything linked to Japan? You like sushi? Too bad. You're a PDF file now. This quote tweet with over 31,000 likes reads, this sort of thing feels like the very inevitable conclusion of watering down of extremely serious terms, plus the growing prevalence of people arguing that their discomfort with an art's themes should mean nobody else in the world could ever interact with it at all. That person then adding, like of course Jujutsu Kaisen is on the chopping block. Of course, when the goalposts move constantly, it opens up the field for anything to be immoral art. If you can't even sit with your own discomfort, obviously the idea of anyone else doing that seems ridiculous. This, to me, is very telling of the mindset we're seeing in a lot of younger people. They're the center of the universe, so you must apologize to them if they are damaged by you liking an anime. You have to apologize for them being uncomfortable with a show you like. Insane. Let's just clarify something, though. It's not just younger people who do this. I've seen plenty of adults do this too. And I'm talking people in their 20s, 30s, and even 40s saying stuff like this. Quote, anything from Japan, unquote. Oh, wow. In addition to being straight bonkers, it's also explicitly racist. I feel like we should teach in schools about the video games cause violence scare of the early 2000s, and how it ended up being total BS when they actually did research on it and found that people inherently understand the hard line between fiction and reality. Shouldn't be reading stuff where the characters are minors is a wild line, suggesting it's impossible to even imagine a child without doing that to them. Sorry, every coming-of-age story in history, your main character's a literal minor. It's interesting seeing how many people are pushing back against this sort of Twitter cop behavior now, when for a long time on Twitter, a lot of people supported that stuff. Now, of course, this is a bit of a generalization, and I'm not like pointing fingers at anyone specifically. It's still rather interesting, though. Do you think some people's opinions may be changing, which is totally fair, and it could be the case? I do wonder, though, if any are just kind of like hopping off the trend of being a Twitter cop and supporting that stuff. Because you see so many threads, or throughout the years, you'd see so many threads on Twitter where it's like, oh, X thing is problematic, cancel it. And it just gets like mindless likes and retweets. Oh, thank you for informing me. And it's like the take's just awful and makes no sense. Or how often someone on Twitter would just falsely accuse someone else with no evidence at all. Yet it would still often get like thousands, if not tens of thousands of likes and retweets of people, just like I said, mindlessly supporting a take that has no evidence and or makes no sense. I'm not fully convinced that the entire virtue signal trend is over, but perhaps it's starting to get on its way out. I guess we'll have to see. It's also just rather interesting seeing people on Twitter saying stuff that we've been saying for years, you know, like you guys and I myself, when a lot of the time you wouldn't really see those takes on Twitter. And if anything, they would get you backlash. What I mean is like being a reasonable person on Twitter would get you backlash. And like I said, to some extent, it probably still would be the case, just perhaps less than before. Perhaps tides are somewhat beginning to change. Let me know what you think about all of that in the comments. And also, if you believe that people are being genuine with this stuff. And again, I know we're talking in generalization, so we'll take that into account. But it is another little bit of a concern. Like, if people were so eager to hop on the Twitter cop trend, the virtue signal trend, how do I know that they're not just hopping off that trend and hopping onto something else? Not because they're genuinely changing their beliefs or they're genuinely like that now, but rather they just want to hop onto the next trend and just do whatever's trendy. Just a little food for thought. As mentioned, consider letting me know your thoughts in the comments. And we'll end by going back to the JJK thing, man. That's freaking crazy. Those DMs are crazy. Consider letting me know what you think about that too. And yeah, thank you for your time. I'll see you in the comments and in the next segment on the way.